Dan Tamarkin here from Tamarkin Camera in downtown Chicago and Tamarkin Rare Camera Auctions to show off a few of the goodies that we'll have in our Saturday, November 11th Rare Camera Auction in New Haven, Connecticut. I have here a Leica M3 camera, a very early one, number 700105. It was made in 1954 in the first year of production, and this is the 105th Leica M3 that was made. It makes it extremely early. It has all the hallmarks of an early Leica M3 camera, including screws holding the top plate, the early type of back door with the glass film plate. It has the early film track type on the inside. This is a stunning example of a very early M3 camera. It's a very, very uncommon and rarely found. We have two examples of a rarely found early Leica camera. The Leica 72 is a half-frame camera marked on its top plate 18x24, which is the size of the little half-frame negative that it takes. It's commonly known as the Leica 72 because you can get 72 frames out of a 36 roll, a roll of 36 exposures, because it's a half-frame camera. It was an experimental camera that Leica made, brought into production. They made less than 200 of them from 1950 to 1963. For whatever reason, the camera didn't take off, and very few were produced, which makes it one of the rarest production screw-mount Leica cameras ever. We have two examples, a magnificent near-to-mint set, all original Leica 72 with a 50mm Elmar lens, which was made right around the same time. We also have a recently serviced 18x24 half-frame camera that has had its vulcanite replaced, but is otherwise an all-original Leica half-frame camera. Very, very rare camera based on the Leica 3A, but made half-frame, so you get 72 exposures out of a roll of film. Very exciting cameras that are rarely seen at auction, and we happen to have two available. 1950 Sabrestock, made here in Chicago by a Leica supplier, was never taken up and marketed by Lights, but obviously uses Leica items. For example, we have a Leica 2F, we have the Leica VisoFlex 1, and a 400mm f5 Telit lens. And so the Sabrestock has a double cable release so that the mirror in the housing goes up before the shutter's tripped. The Sabrestock itself is basically composed of just the wooden part that you see, as well as our little jig for moving the camera vertically, which is something that the Leica product never did. And so here you have your trigger, your Leica, your housing, viewfinder housing that has a mirror inside of it, and a 400mm lens, and you're ready to go to the races. I have before me here 4 Leica M4 cameras, special cameras called a K7A, and they were made for the US military, although not all of them were actually taken up under the military contract. And so it's basically an M4 camera with a special engraving on top and the serial number on the back with the military numbers of the contract on the back. There were two versions of this camera made. The ones for the US military, and only 55, we think, K7A cameras with the engraving on the top plate, civilian model without any of the Army engravings on the back. These were sold to dealerships as surplus and were sold as ordinary M4s. Now, they, along with their 50mm f2 Elcan lens, are holy grails for collectors. The camera differed very slightly from an M4 in a couple of its features. Firstly, the 50mm Elcan lens was made with lanthanum in the optics, which allowed a radioactive material, which allowed the lens to achieve a very high refractive index. Also, the lens is made to withstand the impact, the concussion of an explosion with special gaskets inside so that the lens doesn't fracture. And so we have a couple here that will be on auction on November 11th. We also have one from my collection and one from a friend's collection, so we can show you 4 Ke7As all in one spot. We have here a 1920s metal enameled Leica dealership sign. In our 45 plus years of Leica, this is only the second one we've ever seen. Exceedingly rare, beautiful vintage metal enamel sign from the 1920s. I have before me here Leica MP camera number 50, and it was delivered to a New York dealership on July 29th of 1957, and it includes a Leica rapid winder, which is for rapidly advancing film, and a collapsible 50mm Elmar f3.5 lens. The most exciting thing about this camera is its low serial number, number 50, made in 1957, and in a stunning black enamel in gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous condition. The camera makes its 21st century debut on Saturday, November 11th at our rare camera auction, and is the showpiece of the auction on the cover of our catalog, and will be lot number 217. On Saturday, November 11th, we hope that you'll join us for the excitement around the auction and to see what happens with MP number 50 and see where it finds its next loving home.